Okay, everyone, so with what might very possibly be my last Christmas horror review before Christmas Day, I'm gonna briefly talk about the Netflix series Elves. It's a Danish horror fantasy series from 2021, which makes it the second piece of Scandinavian Christmas horror I've been lucky enough to enjoy this season. And it's very much in the vein of Spielberg or shows like Stranger Things, although without any of that sort of 80s nostalgia worship going on. Given that it's only 6 episodes and each episode is only about 20-ish minutes apiece, I almost feel like this would have flowed better if they had just rolled it into one 2-hour movie. The whole story is honestly lean enough that I think it would work that way just a little bit better. But it's hard to whine about that too much. It's an easy enough binge that you would hardly notice the difference. It's about a Danish family that travels to the island of Arma. I'm really sorry. Jesus. God, I'm a cultureless piece of shit. Armandoso, and I apologize to Denmark if I'm butchering that, but a family who travels to the Danish island of Armandoso for a vacation. What they don't know is that the little island that they've chosen for their Christmas getaway is actually populated by a swarm of carnivorous elves. When the lead character, a young daughter in the family named Josephine, ends up kind of taking a stray baby elf under her wing, it sets off escalating tension between the elves in the forest and the villagers who surround them. Things become more fraught from there in ways that are a little bit familiar but still dependable enough to carry the story along. I mentioned Spielberg before quite deliberately because not only does this owe a certain debt to E.T., but there's an action scene in the last episode. Very well done, mind you, exciting, but it does also feel a little bit derivative of Jurassic Park. Meanwhile, the creature design for the elves, both in infant form and adult form, is so strikingly similar to Groot that you might almost think that you accidentally hit your remote. I can appreciate how rather than making them a product of cutesy Christmas magic, the filmmakers were trying to go down more of that avenue and that strain of fantasy where magic is essentially just an extension of nature. And I appreciate that approach in theory. But honestly, the way that they have designed and animated these creatures in the end, I'm honestly a little surprised that nobody got sued. In spite of many of the elements of this series being familiar and even regrettably familiar, there is still enough about it to make it feel fresh by North American standards, at least as far as Christmas or Christmas horror goes. Much like the 2010 film Rare Exports out of Finland that I reviewed not that long ago, Elves makes good use of naturalistic cinematography. Much like that film, this series uses natural lighting a lot of the time and to very good effect. Tonally, it has much the same approach as Rare Exports as well, in the sense that for what is essentially a lark of a story, the cast and the filmmakers are all approaching it, quite earnestly. Elves is not nearly as ambitious nor sophisticated as Rare Exports in terms of its script construction, but they both share that approach where they make doing this kind of a goofy supernatural story feel like it's the most natural thing in the world to be documenting. And it also shares the same coming of age motif. In fact, in Elves, there's about 3 different coming of age stories being told at the same time. Rather conspicuously, it's not like you have to squint to see it. But the actors inhabit their roles convincingly enough that the filmmakers are able to use these tropes to keep the pace brisk, even if they are still ultimately tropes. The young actress who plays Josephine, by the way, is really quite good. She kind of projects that same sort of intelligence beyond her years, the way that a young Jodie Foster or Natalie Portman did. The actress's name is Sonja Sophie Engberg Steen, and that name is quite a mouthful, but believe you me, she earns every syllable. There's a bright future there, and she does kind of look familiar, so I almost wonder if I haven't seen her in anything that is more recent to this year or the last. Or maybe she just has a certain sympathetic, every-person quality about her that makes her feel familiar. Either way, I hope to see her in more. So if you're looking for something that's maybe a little off the beaten path and a little bit different by the standards of North American Christmas fare, I'd say give Elves a try. If you are a more seasoned horror and or fantasy fan, I'd still recommend it, but I would say that the lack of originality might deter some people. So go into this one with lowered expectations. Don't expect to have your mind blown. Just expect to enjoy a couple hours of lean, efficient, well acted entertainment, and you'll be home free. And with that, I'm going to sign off and do my own contribution as far as Christmas cooking this year goes. Wish me luck. I hope you all get to enjoy some cozy time with your family and loved ones. And while I'm at it, I'll just take this moment to say a very quick but sincere thank you to everybody who shared some sentiments when I started the channel up again. It definitely warmed my heart. It was very gratifying and quite a pleasure to come back to a welcome like that. And I'm going to try to make it worth everyone's while and keep pumping out content regularly, and hopefully the channel can actually grow. But again, beyond all that, just thank you very much for sharing your thoughts. It's, great to be back in touch with everybody again, and we'll see what the new year brings. So have a very Merry Christmas. Maybe I'll do something tomorrow on Christmas Day. Maybe. I wouldn't necessarily count on it, but you never know. But either way, thanks as ever for watching. Look for more uploads in the very near future. And I hope you all have a fantastic holiday season. Take care.